The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N. Welcome to The Writing Way. I am Andy N.
And I'm Amanda Nicholson.
Amanda, what is The Writing Way?
It's a podcast hosted by both of us and talking about writing and publishing and helping authors. The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N. Amanda.
Andy.
What are we doing today?
We're doing the Writing Way podcast.
Yeah, what episode number is this, Amanda?
I think it's number 3 or 4. I don't know.
Well, anyway, it's a serious podcast, so I'm going to put my serious mode on it. This is episode number 4. Okay, now we're going into a topic today that's just enough for discussion between me and Amanda today. And what is the episode we're going to do, Amanda?
We're going to be talking about entry fees for writing competitions.
Yeah, I did some research on this before we go into what we're going to talk about. And it's an interesting one, Amanda, this case. It's very hard to work out where the actual exact origin of paid writing competitions is. There's some talk going around, you can trace this right back through to the Roman and Greek days. But obviously, the practice of awarding prizes and writing competitions, including the financial compensation, which we'll come into shortly, the long history. So, and it's, how do you feel about, when I say this, it's expanded a lot because of the rise of the internet?
Yeah, I think the internet helps. I mean, I agree with it in some ways and I disagree with it in other ways. Because obviously you have to get the money from somewhere to pay the people. But sometimes it goes a little bit too far.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today with the podcast here. So, right, Amanda, I know you've got quite a few points you want to go through with this today. So, over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a screenwriting competition because I came across this week from the other side of it because I found in a newsletter that they were looking for people to read the screenplays and to leave feedback on them. And it said it was $25 an hour. I thought, I suppose it's okay. It's like some people might say that's too low. But what it actually turned out to be was $25 per screenplay. And what they give me was an unpaid test to see how it goes, which in some ways is fair enough because they want to know you're going to be able to do it. But in other ways, it's a bit cheeky asking you to do unpaid work. But it showed me before I even started that it was going to take me maybe a day or two to do it because the screenplay was 102 pages
Oof.
and you're expected to read all of it and then write 600-word critique on it and following the strict guidelines. And the critique has got to be completely perfect, so it's got to be edited. And it says that if there's mistakes in it, you won't get paid.
Yeah, well, what's the word we're going to use for that? And we're going to be some of these. Well, people are wondering if we're doing Not the TV Guide, our TV review podcast. The swearathon monster Grant Kernel would be beep beep. Is that fair enough? Hi, Grant.
Yeah. So that's even assuming you even get past the unpaid test. What it's like then it's like you potentially couldn't get paid for the things that you're supposed to be getting paid for. And the other
Yeah,
thing is as well, it's like it's going to it takes so long. It's like I think people in third world countries probably get more than that for 2 days' work. I mean, I could be wrong, maybe they don't, but it's still pretty bad.
yeah. It's the trouble is a lot of the freelancing world is, and it's still supplying these sort of competitions. Is obviously that we've got in this country set the national living wage. And you wonder to some degree how they actually get round that if it's a competition in England.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to freelance work, it's different because it's like morally it's wrong, but I don't think I can enforce that you pay minimum wage to a freelancer.
Yeah, it is. So it's,
It's the way I was looking at it is something that I want to get experience in that side of things because I want to either get into being a literary agent someday or into publishing. So so it would help. So I was willing to do it if it was 2 hours work, which is still really bad pay for 2 hours. But
Yeah.
I was seeing it more as a token payment, doing something that would get me experience that might help me get my foot in the door for something I want to do with better pay. But if it goes over to 1 or 2 whole days of working, then it's too much.
Yeah. I think it's some of them, there's some of these, and this is what we want to talk about today to some degree, is the simple fact is it takes to Michael some of it, to put it nicely, I think. And that's what my concern is sometimes with this. It's they just they take the Michael basically on it they do. And Amanda, anyway, listen, you've got more examples than me. This I'm just gonna be ranting, so
Yeah, but I want to go on to a discussion I found on Reddit when I was seeing if it was actually a legitimate company. And I saw a couple of people who had entered it and obviously paid the first $75, which I don't think I've mentioned so far. So that means that basically they pocket $50. And there is, I think it's $3,000 prize. So they do pay money out of that money, but I've got a feeling that they're probably going to end up with quite a lot of money left over just to put in their back pocket. And one person had complained because they paid this $75 and they just got feedback that the thought had been run through AI. And another person had said from what the feedback they got, it was clear that the person hadn't read more than 3 pages. And from what I've previously said about the $25 that you get paid for it, you can see why people aren't going to read the whole thing and they're just going to read 3 pages or just put it through ChatGPT because they're going to think, well, I can't spend all that time doing it for this pay. So I can
yeah.
see both sides of it. It's not really the right thing to do, but I can understand why the readers would do that rather than just read the whole thing and give the feedback themselves and not give it to AI.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting point actually. That they've mentioned the word chat, that you're using AI on it because you do like it's. I think the danger is nowadays is when you do this sort of competition, if you're using the AI on it, it might make life easier, but should you be doing it on a competition that's basically creative, really people's work? Because you're always using the AI to market. AI can only say what it's been programmed to say. And who's not to
The
say
AI
people have,
is really bad at feedback, I think, because I've
yeah.
given some of mine in the past to do, and it's over positive. Oh, I've said to it, imagine you're a literary agent and you're really critical, and give me like the most honest feedback that I need to improve it, and it'll come up with stuff, and I'll be reading through it, and it's like, well, but that's in the bit that I haven't given you. It comes later. I can't cram it all into that small bit what you're telling me to put in, and you shouldn't information dump anyway. So I wouldn't trust it with for feedback.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a good point. Now, I suppose, Amanda, we should really mention, shouldn't we, like when you used to do your printed words magazine, which I was what panel member, should we say, with it,
Yeah,
you used to try and give feedback to people all the time, and you had trouble
yeah,
with
because
that sometimes, didn't you?
we had several readers, and what we used to do, I used to take the names off and then put them into a Word document, keep the title so you can search that in the email to find them again. And by the time I'd sent it to you and the other reader, I'd forgotten most of who had read it. So it was reading blindly as much as I possibly could. And my memory is not great anyway, so that helped. And we just used to read it, write a couple of lines, give a mark out of 10, and you had to get a certain mark overall to get accepted. And I'd take the feedback from the rejected ones and put it into a paragraph and make it sound constructive. So if somebody says this is absolutely rubbish, then that's obviously not going in the feedback because it's not constructive.
No, I can always remember with somebody that we're not going to name. I can, and you know who this is. I used to go, went through all of it, but no, 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 no.
Yeah,
Name no names, right? But yeah, and it wasn't me or you, so. But yeah, but you've said I think it's interesting point you raise about the competitions here, because it's not necessarily the topic where the path I thought we were going to go down with this either, but you do like there's so many competitions coming up on the internet nowadays. It's you've got and you work out some of them quite want some quite extensive money as well, can't they? As you've said already, I've seen higher paying ones than this. Is like the crunch point is which ones do you go with?
Yeah, like I've not made notes about this, but I've seen a lot of ones of self-published books, and they're like over $100, sometimes a lot more, a few $100. And I know of someone that's had some progress with it. And in some ways, people might look at it and say, you bought your win. Because when it gets to that price, it's cutting out a lot of people because they don't have that money. So you are kind of buying your win in a way. It might be that, your book is really good and obviously it's still got to beat other people that have entered. But if they've got loads of prizes and nearly everybody's winning, then I don't think it means as much. It just means you've got a lot of money to throw around.
Yeah, agreed with it. Agreed with it. I've never been massive one for competitions, to be honest with you. It's not the field I really want to go down when writing, to be honest with you, if I'm honest. But I know you've done it before now, and I know you've entered some fairly big prizes as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
And that's the next one that I've made notes on as well. I'm not going to name it because it is kind of a legitimate competition in a way, but it's also making a lot of money. And I entered it because it was a £29 fee, and I thought there's not going to be an awful lot of people that have that kind of money to go at. I'll be honest, I put it on my credit card, so I got into debt for it, or more debt because I already have debt. And I thought, what the hell? Let's add some more to it. And you don't get any kind of feedback for it. I was hoping I'd probably be shortlisted because I thought, well, if I get shortlisted when I'm sending it to agents, like I say, it's been shortlisted. I didn't really expect, I was going to get any further than that, and I didn't even get shortlisted. So, but the thing that stood out for me was when they got back to me and they said they had over 2,000 entries, and I just thought, I can't believe that. I thought it'd be like a few hundred people that had paid £29 to enter, not over 2,000 people. And they did have an agent, so the agent probably gets the time. But I don't think the agent would have read all three chapters that everybody sent in. I think it'll be more like when you send something to an agent and they read the cover letter and the synopsis and decide whether to read further. And then even if they do read the work you've sent in, it might be one or two pages, and if it doesn't hook them, they move on to the next one.
yeah, well, you
And
did.
I actually worked out how much money they would have brought in from the £29 over 2,000 people, and it was £58,000.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So it's like I know what minus whatever they pay the agent and the £5,000 prize money, and they're coming out with a hell of a lot of profit.
Yeah, I've come across it before now. Reading this before, and not again, I'm not naming names. We both know of competitions where they actual sift actually through it. And well, at the minute, I know employers on the employee market have done this, and I know of one, and I can this applies the same as that reason I'll come in a second, where a job I went for interviewing recently, and I found on the grapevine, not naming names, they had 217 applicants, and they picked 40 people out for the interview for a stage for it. And what they did, Amanda, was to knock this down, they used apparent rumor has it Copilot to actually sift through the applications. And I've been hearing the same rumor on quite a few prominent competitions where they actually sift through the several thousand things by typing in certain keywords or structures in the ping.
That doesn't surprise me. I've heard the same about the jobs. I've like they scan CVs for keywords, and I've seen people saying that they sent X amount of applications out and didn't hear anything back. And then what they started doing is going through the job, seeing what the requirements were, putting all them in there, but in like the smallest font and in white lettering so it doesn't show up unless somebody's actually looking for it on the CV. So that when the AI scans it, it sees all these, even though they're not actually in the cover letter or the CV. And they said that they actually got there's quite a few interviews out of it after that. So it proved to them that it was being scanned by AI and looking for these words.
Yeah, I've heard something very similar on competitions as well, where the other one that come up, and this is doing my research before, and again, I'm not naming names in this one, please don't ask me to. So, like, a story won a competition recently. I don't know if you've read about this, where somebody put in an extract from Jane Eyre
Oh dear.
into a competition because they'd heard a rumor that AI was sifting through it, and it got through to the final 10 people.
Wow.
About 4,000, about 5,000 people enter
Was
it.
that actually in the document or was that hidden in really small writing in white?
It was hidden in really small
Yeah.
writing. It was
Wow.
just to be really
I might try
facetious.
that next time.
Yeah, you do. You like it's scary. What you think you're dead right. What you say is what you hear stories of people doing basically things like that, and it's just people do it sometimes. And like there's certain magazines that are more, should we say, AI based than others, and they don't spot things like that. So it's but anyway.
Yeah, it is quite silly, really, because it's like I know that's one of the greats, but it's from a certain time period, isn't it? And it's like that was popular then, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if somebody brought that out now, it would be popular.
No, exactly. It's yeah. So agreed. So now I do know you've got. Well, obviously, we want people to know. I think you've got some positive stories you want to tell about competitions as well, Amanda, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm not saying like don't go out and spend money on entry fees because I do occasionally, even though I prefer the free ones. I think everybody prefers free rather than paying for something. So sometimes I will if it's like £2 or £3, or occasionally if it's £5 and it's something I might already have that I think fits with it, or I want to write something and it just makes me want to sit down like that and enter it. But there are ways to find free ones as well. It's like in the UK we've got Writing Magazine, which I have issues with, but I'm not going to go into. But they do have a selection of submission calls, which is quite useful. And then there's newsletters you can sign up for where they send you opportunities. And then the other thing I would say is that go on Google and look them up to make sure that they're actually genuine ones.
Yeah, because it's again, we're not going to go into naming and shaming here, but there is certain organisations. I know we've talked about this before, man. Off mic, of course. There is a shall we say a writing magazine where, and you know which one I'm on about here, Amanda, as well, don't you? When you notice like certain names keep cropping up in competitions.
Yeah, and then suddenly they're running a paid workshop. But let's move on.
Yeah, we can name and shame off off air if you want to, but please don't ask us. I don't want to get sued in this podcast. But it's let's move on anyway. But you're right, Amanda. I think a lot of it is anything you do like this. It's the common trick is research, research, research.
Yeah,
With
and then
the internet
also
being what it is,
recently,
sorry, you can easily find out. Sorry, apologies.
yeah, recently I entered a competition that was did have £29 entry fee, and I can't tell you the name of it now because I can't remember. But they had an option for sponsored entries, and I know some people might be too proud to ask if you're on low income, but I thought, what the heck, because I can't afford another £29 entry fee, and you actually get feedback on this sometime next year as well as part of your entry fee, even if you get a sponsored entry. So I just emailed them. I basically told them how how low my pay is, and when they'd finished rolling on the floor laughing, they said, "Yeah, you can have a sponsored entry."
Oh, they're like, aren't they? Dear, dear, dear.
And I don't
But
think they had rolling on the floor laughing. That's just me imagining
you've been, what's the good word is facetious. I do like that word, right?
it. Yeah,
Yeah, but you're right. If it is, there's so many nowadays, and it's impossible to judge which are the good ones, to be honest with you. And then when you see the really good ones, and I can name them, the Bridport Prize, for example, that's been going for what a long, long time, and you're going to enter that, and it's a difficult one to try and break into. So it's like, what level do you go for, Amanda? You know what I mean with it?
yeah, yeah. It's like I don't think my writing's probably what they're looking for. It's like personally, people who I know personally in real life have bought copies of my book and they've gone up to me and go, "Oh yeah, I love it." But when you submitting things at that level, it's different. It's a different kind of people, I think, and they have a higher sort of threshold of what they're looking for, and it's not my stuff.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just you get to a certain stage of writing like that is what do you do? It's it's like I said, it's just something very, very hard to try and work out, and it's not
Yeah,
true.
and
It's
plus
not.
you don't know without feedback. It's like where you're going wrong. So the one that I've just mentioned that's giving me feedback next year, it's like that's helpful. And there's another one that I've entered into that I've been randomly selected to get feedback by the end of August. And that was a prize itself rather than publication, which I know wouldn't normally enter, but it's like when you don't know what it is that's stopping people from accepting your manuscript or agents from accepting you and just writing to you and going, oh, no, this doesn't fit with what I want, or this isn't for us. You need to know why, don't you? So
Yeah,
I think the feedback is really valuable.
I do as well, Vic. It's like I said, in anything you do, it's the real problem is like it's the same with the job market, really. This where everything been automated to such level nowadays. It's great. Supposedly it's great to have instant feedback so you can move on. But how do you improve? Is that the next stage of it? And
Yeah.
it's then it's the question is if you get the feedback of somebody, is the feedback any good? Is the next question.
Yeah, because I was complaining. I mean, so it's slightly different topic now, but I was complaining on LinkedIn the other day because I had four lots of rejections from jobs, and they were all very generic. And then somebody had posted up what they thought was personalized feedback, but it still felt really vague. And they were like, "Oh, well, this helps me get a job." And I was like, "Well," everyone was pointing out how vague it was, and it just felt like somebody had like a bucket full of maybe 10 or 20 different responses and just pulled out the one that they thought closely resembled it and copied and pasted it in to make it feel personal rather than it actually being personal. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I do indeed. It's hard. It's like what? Yeah, I get it completely. But I think the point with this really is what do we do as writers? And like saying, do we feel like we need to keep going with this self-validation, keep doing this? But I think you need to sometimes. If you want to
Yeah, it's
progress as a
difficult.
writer, if you're not going to get an agent straight away, it's getting a good reputation on good magazines and constantly getting stuff published, isn't it?
It is, you have to keep just sending things in, and sometimes you have to send stuff to places that aren't paid to get published. But then it's like people look at that and say, well, everybody gets accepted because you don't get paid. So you can't really win. And then if you ask for feedback from people, you know they're always going to be nice. Even if you say to them, be brutally honest with me, I need to know how to improve. They're not going to come out and say anything too bad about it.
No, and I think you're right because when you look back at what you just said then, there's a big difference to sometimes getting accepted in free paying markets and paid ones.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Right, okay, well, moving on. Have we got anything else we need to talk about today, Amanda?
I know, I think I've covered everything.
Yeah, I think I have as well. I can't forget anything. But like I said, it's just to, obviously, just to rehash, or not rehash, is the wrong word, clarifying the conclusion. To go back to the point, Amanda, obviously, if we talk about writing competitions, just clarify your point again to people so we know, okay?
Yeah, I wouldn't say avoid high entry contests completely. I'll just say be careful about how certain you feel about entering them. And if you're not that sure, I'd probably stick to lower paid or free entry ones. And it's like this won't be relevant to everybody because not everyone's going to be in England, let alone the north of England. But there's one called New Writing North, and they have a lot of free writing competitions. And I've not been lucky enough to win anything from them, but at least I've not lost any money by entering them.
Yeah. I go on, I've had a good few successes recently on a few authors published newsletter as well. I really like that one as well. And the other one I've had some luck of recently as well. Forgotten the name of them. There's another one as well. But like I said, but it's certain like it's just a case of I think if you look round, there is good newsletters round there. And a
Yeah,
case of is just it's working out what suits you, I think, sometimes.
yeah, I agree.
That's why now. The other one I was trying to remember the name of is on the follow it group is a Jean Lee Gassman. I've had a couple of acceptances off there recently as well. I've been paid for these as well, to be honest. Not massive amounts, but still, you know what I mean? It's something to be proud of, isn't it, really? So
Yeah,
you're getting successes off that. So it's, like I said, it's just look around, people. Just look around. And I think the most important thing is don't give up.
yeah.
Right, folks, that's it today. Take it away, man, to conclude.
Bye everyone. Keep writing. The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy